Well, this flew underneath the radar, but your cousin Vinny fucking caught it. So, the Federal Reserve officials are here at the Senate Banking Committee and they're testifying about debanking, where basically anybody who they thought had a controversial opinion would be debanked due to reputational risk. Now, keep in mind where the Federal Reserve is at during this point in time. You know, we got the BRICS dumping the dollar, we got Trump trying to tell them to lower interest rates because they're trying to collapse the fucking Fed, and now these guys are being hauled before the Senate Banking Committee to testify about all of this debanking going on. You know, the Ice Road truckers have entered the chat, so has the January 6 people, so has the 30 tech founders. This thing needs to be ripped out root and stem. So let's listen to them for just a little bit.
Reinterpreted, it's in the discretion of the regulators. So what is reputation risk today might be something different tomorrow.
Does it give bank examiners license to censor viewpoints or base regulatory decisions on someone's subjective viewpoint of what is a controversial comment?
It can.
Well, let me show you that it does. So here's this quote from an internal excerpt. It's a confidential Federal Reserve implementation handbook on account access. It requires that Federal Reserve staff consider whether a person has made a, quote, controversial comment in making decisions about access to the payment system. And of course, access to the payment system is a defining feature of a bank, is it not?
Correct. Very much so.
Yeah, it really is. You know, it's what you need to use a bank for, unless there's a magnificent tech out there that has a whole new a company rather that has a whole new financial system, a unit of account, a method of payments, and a means of exchange. That is RLUSD, XRPL Ledger, and XRP. And you have to understand this is also occurring underneath the guise of BRICS are banning the dollar. And why? Because Russia was kicked out of SWIFT. And the rest of the world said, oh my god, we can't trust the bank at Monopoly? Fuck you. We're out. We're going to settle in our own currencies like they said they were going to do at the end of October. There's only a few techs out there that can do it. And what did we just see happen with the Ripple Ledger? Having the halt like they had back in November when something happens because they're a good custodian, they're a good company, and it basically in less than an hour it was fixed. And you have to understand between November and now, when that between halts, billions of transactions were processed. Do you know how many times Swift fails? A lot. Granted, they also do more, but still. Now, as more validators get added onto the ledger, as in sovereign nations like South Korea, Japan is now, the rates of that even happening goes dramatically down. And all the transactions eventually went through. Because they just halted it, said, okay, let's reroute everything through a different node and let's fix it and let's move the fuck on. Like I correctly guessed in the fucking spaces. That it was just nothing to worry about. But let's continue on with debanking.
So without that, a bank is a vault.
So is it dangerous for the Fed to serve as judge and jury on a particular banker's speech?
Senator, I'm kind of absorbing that still a little bit because it's really quite unusual. I've never seen anything like that before. But my immediate reaction is, number one, it sort of proves out the comments I've been making about the subjectivity around reputation risk, because who's to say what is controversial and what is not?
Buddy, where you been for 4 fucking years? And this has been going on longer than that. Granted, it's been going on longer than that. But where you been? Alright? This is all these guys do. Alright? I've watched so many of these committees. All these people do is punt. You know, just move the ball down a little bit. You know, hopefully we were there, but it wasn't our fault. In the era of Doge, this is not going to stand anymore. This shit's got to go.
Uncontroversial. That's number one. Number two, it's chilling to me that it's possible that access to the Federal Reserve payment system might be dependent on whether the applicant was engaged in some sort of controversial commentary, or now I can see it, or activities. That's the kind of stuff that is, that's the kind of thing you see in countries that appear on OFAC lists. So I don't see how it has any place in assessing the
Your homework is to look up OFAC. OFAC's very important. It's about laws and banking regulations and all this type of stuff that Ripple is trying to clean up, for lack of a better word.
capabilities.
Efficiency, all this other good stuff. Decentralized reserve, get rid of the leverage, all this other stuff.
Of an institution to have access to the federal banking system. We don't want to be in a place where free speech is chilled because there's a concern that I might not get access to banking services.
I agree very much, Senator, and I've been very deeply concerned by the Kansas City Federal Reserve's precluding places like the credit union in Colorado from accessing the payment system, and that chart puts my hair on fire.
If I might.
You sure it didn't happen already, fella? Oh god. Look, these guys all know they're hanging on by their fucking fingernails, man. It's now they're getting hauled before the Senate Banking Committee. Like, just one more slash in that beast, buddy. Just one more slash.
Add to that, by the way, I believe in litigation involving an institution in Wyoming, Custodia Bank. I believe, if I recall correctly from the oral argument, the position of the Federal Reserve is that the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City has complete and unfettered discretion as to whether or not they allow access to the payment system.
Well,
that's a lot of power.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Gannon.
That's a lot of power. Dude, you think
so?
so? Dude, you think so? The ability to transact. I've been telling you guys, we've been under the New World Order the whole time. The whole fucking time, man. The whole fucking time. This is what we're talking about here. How we're gonna fucking, get rid of this shit. You can only do that with a decentralized reserve. That's the only fucking way. Alright, and there's only one company that has all the compliances, has all the techs, has everything going for it, that can do it. That can do it. That's the point. It's fucking nuts, man. What the fuck?